People standing for themselves, Asian Americans coming together in Queens, in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Staten Island.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ikeda, and today we're going to witness a masterclass in persuasion. Today we're analyzing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her speech during New York mayor election race in 2025. A speech like that is a masterclass of persuasion because the stakes are insanely high and every word is carefully planned and every line is tested. And also the speech will be delivered by the professional politician who has years of experience. So be ready because it will be very, very interesting. But before we start, a short disclaimer. I understand that the content of the speech can be very, very controversial. So that's why here we're analyzing the speech only through the influence and persuasion perspective. I'm not living in America. I live on another continent, okay? So I'm not really supporting her. I will not be criticizing her, okay? Here, we're just analyzing techniques that helps her to persuade the audience. So without further ado, let's jump right into the briefing. So here's a briefing. Here's all of the information that we need to know before we start analyzing the speech. First of all, let's dive a little bit into the context, okay? So what's important intel we need to know is that during the speech, what was going on, it was a 2025 New York mayor election race. And there were three big potential candidates. There were way more, okay, but those were the big three, okay? Democrat candidate Zohran Mamdani, Republican candidate Curtis Silva, and independent candidate Andrew Cuomo. The agent who will be influencing people is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, member of the US House of Representatives from the New York's 14th district, also the member of the Democratic Party. Just because it's a political race, the target audience will look like that. There are people who will definitely vote for the Democratic candidate. There are people who will definitely vote only for a Republican candidate and you will not change your opinion. And there are people who will vote for others, right? And you will not change their opinion as well. However, there are people who are not really sure who to vote for. They will vote either for Democrat and for other, or for Democrat and for Republican. All of those people basically are deciding who to vote for, and our goal here during the political persuasion is to persuade them to vote for our candidate. So basically the mission of persuasion is like that. You want to change beliefs of people to vote for Zohran, and also you want to mobilize your audience that is already yours to go and vote. Because it's one thing if the person supports this candidate, and it's another thing if the person will actually go and vote for this candidate. And the battleground, the arena where this is happening is that this is a public speech, but also the speech will be covered on the news, on the media, so it's very important to make sure that everything looks good on camera. Now we covered all of the important information, and we're ready to dive right into the speech. So let's get it started. Let me put my headphones on. So, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, New York City is not for sale. Let's watch.
I can't hear you, New York City. We can do better than that.
So, the speech has already started, right? She just said a couple of opening lines, but there's already one influence and persuasion tactic that they use here. Remember I talked a little bit before is that this speech will be a public speech, but also will be covered on the media, right? So look, if we take a look at the beginning, is that we see that when she walks, right, and starts talking, we can see that there are people behind her. It looks weird, right? I mean, if it's just a public speech, you're really talking to people in the audience, right? You don't really want to have a lot of people who are sitting behind you, right? There's just no reason for that. But because this speech also will be covered on the media, it's very important to show the support that audience is supporting her. And if we fast forward a little bit, we can see actually that behind her, there are people of different races, different color, different ethnicities, right? So as you can see here, you know, they're all different. And they're specifically put these people there. Like, you know, everything here is orchestrated, right? To show the support of different target audiences. A very, very basic thing, but still, you know, extremely well done.
It is so good to be home.
What she's saying after the first opening line, she says, it's so good to be home. Why is she saying that? Well, the first thing that you want to do in a speech like that, you want to build a connection with the audience, okay? And you want audience to like you. And the science tells us that the easiest way to do that is to find something in common. Well, in this particular situation, finding something in common is very simple. She is from New York. She talks to people that are also in New York. So that's why her common ground, right? Something that is really, their similarity, something that will really help her to increase her liking, that the audience likes her, just to tell, hey guys, I'm just like you. I'm from New York. Okay, so again, the first line, deliberately planned. Great, love it.
We welcome people of all religions, faiths, and creeds. We honor all genders, races, orientations, and status.
As you can see here, what she does, she says all of her target audience, okay, of her political party. Basically, when we were talking about her target audience is not like one specific group of people, right? Like this target audience consists of lots of smaller target audience. And actually, that's actually what she says. She covers all of them.
And here we defend immigrants.
That's also her target audience.
We are a working people's borough in a working people's city. And all of that makes us a fascist's worst nightmare.
Okay, so what she does here, it's actually a logical fallacy. What is logical fallacy? Logical fallacy is the errors in logic. Okay, so look, very important thing here to understand is that just because it's a political speech, okay, just because it's politics is a very, very dirty place. Okay, and in politics, stakes are high. In this particular speech, stakes are extremely high, right? Because they're fighting for a mayor's chair, mayor of New York. And that's why when the stakes are that high, no one wants to play fair. Okay, you want to get every possible competitive advantage that is out there. So what she does, she actually plays what is called a Hitler card, okay? So she calls other people fascist. Well, look, there might not be fascists, right? They're not really like fascists like Hitler, right? But lots of people in politics like to compare their political opponents to Nazis. I think that the reason for that is because Nazi is considered like ultimately bad. And if you're just saying, hey, this person is just like this ultimate evil, you're attacking this person. And that's a very, very powerful attack. This is a dirty trick, okay? But in politics, it's very, very commonly used, okay? And lots of other political parties do it the same way, okay? So I'm not really criticizing her for that, okay? Do not really hate the player, hate the game, but that's just how it really works out there, okay? I'm just telling you that so you will understand that this is actually logical fallacy in reasoning. Okay, let's move forward.
We gather here today at both a perilous moment for our country and on the precipice of hope for our city.
Tells what this speech will be about and also exaggerates it a little bit, right? She tells like, hey, we gathered because things right now are very, very, very important. Is that it will change the fate of a country, okay? When you're writing a speech, you want to exaggerate things a little bit, okay? So people actually will care more and pay more attention.
And it is also not a coincidence that the very forces that Zohran is up against in this race mirrors what we are up against nationally. Both an authoritarian, criminal presidency fueled by corruption and bigotry, and an ascendant right-wing extremist movement.
She attacks the enemy. What she will be doing here is that she will be talking during her speech. She will be saying, hey, here's the problem that we have. Here's like a political opponent or other things, okay? And they are bad and we want good, and good is our candidate. That's actually what she will be saying. Pay attention to that.
And an insufficient, eroded, bygone political establishment, this time in the form of Andrew Cuomo.
See, attacks the enemy. Usually it's considered not really good thing from stage to attack another people, okay? It's actually will put a shadow on you. But in politics, people do it anyway, okay? It just works.
Whose pursuit of power has blinded them from what that power is supposed to be used for in the first place, which is to aid and put the working people of America and New York City first.
See? So, problem, right? Like, hey, this is bad. This is actually what should be, and this is good. And obviously, good is our candidate.
From our nation's beginning, American democracy has always reflected the struggle between humanity's highest and lowest natures.
Right now, what she will be doing, she will be using another logical fallacy that's called black and white. Okay, so right now what she'll be doing, actually pay attention, she will be picturing her opponents as evil, like, the worst things in the world, okay? And the best things in the world is their candidate. Obviously, the reality is not that simple, right? There's nothing as black and white. There's like all of the shades of gray possible, right? There are no people who are inherently bad, or there are no people who are inherently great and, good. But as you can see here, she actually will be saying that in her speech. Pay attention.
Between subjects and citizens, the Confederacy and the Union, freedom and bondage, labor and capital rights and regimes. When demanding affordable housing is considered a radical and outlandish act, that we can afford our lives, our groceries, our transit, is considered an outlandish and radical act.
Right now what she does, she actually talks about pain points of her audience. When you're delivering a speech, it's very important to adjust your speech to a specific audience, right? And because different audience has different pains, different struggles. So I'm 1000% sure that here is that she talks about specifically that it actually resonates with the audience. That people there, people of New York, they want affordable housing and like all of this that she was saying, okay? So I'm pretty sure that there was some sort of a research out there, that those people were asked like, hey, what are your most common struggles? What are you struggling for, right? And they gave the answers. And actually, like she says these things right into her speech, so it actually feels like she really understands struggles of the people.
To President Donald Trump, that his authoritarianism is no good here. We will send a message that to ICE, that secret police do not belong here.
Very, very important to understand the concept, right? ICE, right? So a very, very big problem, very, very big struggle for some people out there. Adjusting her speech to the context, what's going on, adjusting her speech to the specific audience, to their specific pains, and telling that she is, or, this candidate is a solution to this problem. That's actually what makes it so powerful. That's actually what makes it so persuasive.
And we will demonstrate the heroism that exists in the everyday people throughout our city. Heroism like that we saw last week, a young woman in a polka dot dress standing up to a secret police officer in Canal.
She also uses a motivational appeal, okay? As you can see here in her speech is very, very inspirational, okay? It's very, very motivational. The reason for that, like, you will not see any sort of a logical appeal out there, any sort of a, case study or statistics or whatever. The reason for that is actually very simple, is because the crowd that she's talking to will not be convinced using logic and numbers. Okay, even Le Bon, this guy that I want to show you guys called Gustave Le Bon, he was actually one of the first people who studied psychology of crowds. He actually even wrote the book that is called Gustave Le Bon, The Crowd, Study of the Popular Mind. And there he was actually stating that, and that's actually was something like 19th century, by the way. He was saying that, the crowd doesn't understand logic or stats or statistics. If you really want to win crowd's favor, you need to speak not to their minds, but to their hearts. And that's why she uses so many inspirational appeals out there, so many motivation. And that's right, that's correct.
The line cooks and the delivery workers every day serving and making sure that we are clothed and fed and that our children are cared for. That is America, New York City. That is who we fight for. That is what this victory is about.
She's extremely, extremely passionate in her delivery, and this works really, really well. I really love it. I really love the delivery that she's doing here. One of the things that is very important is that if you want to influence and persuade people, you really need to show that you care. And as you can see here, she's 100% congruent. She really believes in what she's saying, and she's showing it during her speech, and this is really extremely well done. I love it.
When I think about what is happening throughout our nation today, and what Donald Trump has even done, reflected, symbolic of so much in his demolition of the White House and the East Wing.
What's interesting also, as you can see here, she's not really... What's also actually interesting in this speech is that if you notice, is that she's not really talking about common problems or things like that. She talks about something that is not really that directly related to New York City. She talks about some Donald Trump out there who was doing something in this White House, right? This is good and all, but I think that the reason for that, why they actually decided to target that person, is because if you start talking about some local stuff, lots of locals not really aware even of what's going on. However, if you are a potential, Democrat voter, you know that that they talk bad about Donald Trump, and you think that, oh, Donald Trump is bad. If she wants to persuade people to vote for her candidate, she doesn't have to talk about, some local issues. She can just talk about like this big evil, right, that they all picture, right, all of the media, and say, hey, if you're against that, vote for us.
About what is happening throughout our nation today, and what Donald Trump has even done, reflected, symbolic of so much in his demolition of the White House and the East Wing. We see what he's doing to that, and we must let him know that this injustice, no matter what he's doing, that house doesn't belong to him, New York. It belongs to us.
It's also here a little bit of a logical fallacy and manipulation here, because what she starts talking about, and she talks during her speech, she's not really talking a lot about what's going on in New York. Like, a lot during her speech, she just talks about this Donald Trump, is like, well, that is pictured as a very, very bad person, right, by the media, the Democratic media. And she's saying, hey, here's like, he's done something there, something bad, like in the White House. And by voting for us here, we will show him, if you vote for our candidate, we will show him that this White House belongs to people from New York. Well, as you can see here, it's not really directly related, right? Life in New York and what's happening specifically in the White House, right? So this is really also like a little bit of a logical fallacy manipulation here. But like I said, you don't really want to discuss real problems, real solutions with the audience. You just want to, see the enemy, picture the enemy, motivate, the people, and just compliment them. Hey, if we do that, we will show him, right? And then, well, they will be inspired and will vote for you. That's actually what you want, right? You will achieve your goal.
The bricks laid by working people, past, present, and future. Italians fleeing fascism, Jews escaping Holocaust, Black Americans fleeing slavery and Jim Crow, Latinos seeking a better life, Native people standing for themselves, Asian Americans coming together in Queens, in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Staten Island, in this country.
Now it's actually very, very close to the ending of a speech. Now it's reaching its climax, and you can see how emotional she becomes very, very close to the end, right? She's almost like screaming in them, like not almost, she's fucking screaming into the microphone, so passionate about it. Again, and a speech like that is very, very important, okay? You want to motivate the audience, basically, right, to vote for you. You want to inspire them, and she does that really, really well, really well.
This is America, New York City. Don't let them tell you any different. Don't let them tell you that we are the exception. We are the rule. We are the standard. We are the acceptance, and we set the bar for America. I'm talking to you, Donald Trump.
Very, very inspirational, right? That's ended of the speech, or like almost end of the speech, right? So she's here just going like, this is a crescendo, right? This is like the most emotional part. You really want to end on the very, very high note, and she does this here. You can also see the social proof, right? The crowd is also roaring and screaming, and this is the social proof that supports basically what she's saying, right? Is that you see that what she's saying, other people agree with that. So yeah, this is it, actually, the end of a speech. The speech is actually extremely fucking well done. I really loved it. I really loved it. Again, the logical fallacies that we're using, you gotta admit the class, okay? You gotta admit the class. Like, they were really, really professionally put there. I enjoyed that, okay? Yeah. I also want to say that she's very, very emotional, her delivery. This is really great. The speech also is very motivational, very emotional, just like, what political speeches like that for the crowd are all about. And if you want to know actually what happened after that, is that their candidate won. This is it. It was very, very interesting, really a masterclass of influence and persuasion. Let me know what you think about that. Okay, if you like this video, hit the like and subscribe to my channel so you will not miss my future videos. This is it for today. My name is Nikita. It was Influence Lab, and I'll see you next time.